What is what is this feeling I have wearing this Giants? Is this pride? Do I have pride wearing Giant stuff? Now that's a feeling I haven't felt in a long time. Long time. Welcome to the Countdown, folks. I am King, your host with the most, who boasts that ghosts aren't real, because they're not. Make sure to tap that like and share button, please, if you would. The subscribe button as well, if you haven't already. We're only 744 subscribers away from that sweet, delectable, delicious 1,000 number, which we need from YouTube in order to be monetized. And I really need to be monetized because I need underwear. Really need underwear. My Hanes have more holes in them than a Brazzers Christmas party. If you'd like to help out even more, we have links for our donation station and our merch store down in the description below this video. You can look at that Jackson Dart shirt. Look at that. Look at that Jackson Dart shirt. That's cool, right? That's a cool shit, right? You want this, right? Please buy my merch. I'm a sneeze away from being homeless. So yeah, let's get counting. We're going to start with the Steelers at number 12. Are they great? No. And I question if they're even good at some points. But they've managed to win 3 games and sit atop the AFC North despite averaging just 80 rushing yards per game and sitting at 31st in the league with only 320 total rushing yards through 4 games. Aaron Rodgers has yet to truly charge up this offense like many had hoped, with the best game coming in Week 1 versus a very bad Jets team. Rodgers currently ranks 19th in total yards, 23rd with 102.6 quarterback rank. To be fair to Aaron, the play calling of Arthur Smith has been very conservative, with most receivers' yards coming from the sweet, delicious yak, that yard after catch, instead of Aaron's deep throw threat, which still has at his age of 41 years. He's 41, right? 41? 42? He's old. Aaron Rodgers is old, but he still has that deep ball threat. Maybe most surprising was what was supposed to be Pittsburgh's strength. The Steelers' defense ranks 28th in total defense through 4 weeks, while sitting in the mid to lower 20s in pass defense, rushing defense, and scoring defense, respectively, giving up 26 points per game. The one positive, 7 turnovers for this defense, and that has helped spackle over some of the massive cracks that have shown in this Steelers game on both sides of the ball. The question is, will they be able to finally start actually playing well on offense and defense? Because if they can be a very big problem in the AFC. But there's a lot of ifs. At number 11, we have the Chargers. Now, the Chargers sit at 3-1 atop the AFC West. The Chargers lost to the Brian Daboll-led New York Giants, though. The Chargers are also 4th overall in passing yards per game, 6th overall in total yards per game, but the Chargers also lost to the Brian Daboll-led New York Giants. The Chargers, they're missing their star left tackle, Rashawn Slater, who was injured in the preseason, as we all remember. Right guard, Mekhi Becton, he was in concussion protocol for this game, and Joe Alt, who left early on in Sunday's game with a high ankle sprain. The Chargers, though, they lost to a Brian Daboll-led New York Giants team. Now, listen, I know the Chargers are good, and if they can stay healthy on that offensive line, they are 100% a legitimate AFC contender. But when you're 3-0, playing against a rookie, making his first start against a team that hasn't had an offensive line since the Reagan administration, who is coached by Brian Daboll and plays in a giant HVAC unit in the middle of a swamp in New Jersey that snatches knee ligaments like a goth girl on an OnlyFans snatches lonely men's money. Not that I would know anything about that. You can't lose that game without consequences. Those consequences, that's a 7-spot drop for the Chargers. At 10, we have the Packers. Once upon a time, the Packers were the belle of the ball. We were all asking, could this be the best team in all the NFL? Can anyone stop them? Will this end up being an all-time great defense? Even Packers offensive lineman Rasheed Walker said that they were all thinking, what we all were thinking, saying he thought that the Packers could honestly go undefeated. Since Rasheed made that statement to the media, the Packers have lost to the Browns, and then in Micah Parsons' homecoming to Arlington, against the Cowboys, against Jera, against a team that got boat raced by the Bears and gave up 37 points to Russell Wilson and the New York Giants, they tied. All of a sudden, the Packers sit half a game behind the Lions, who they demolished in Week 1, and with having that tie, it renders any tiebreaker that they had with the Lions from that win useless. Maybe even more concerning, the Packers sit only a half game above the Vikings and the Bears of all teams, who have their very own 2-game winning streak. Usually early buys aren't most desirable from teams if you ask players, but perhaps this buy coming up is just what the Packers needed. And a Week 5 bye helped the Eagles last season kind of gather everything together, so maybe, just maybe, the Packers can imitate that same sort of success. Number 9, the Niners. The Santa Clara Mass Unit, formerly known as the 49ers, finally dropped a game, 26-21 to the Jaguars, in what can best be described as a bit of a sloppy contest. All things considered, sitting at 3-1 in the NFC West, tied with the Seahawks and the Rams, is better than I thought they'd be with all the injuries. And if they can continue to eke out wins and scrape by with their skeleton crew maintaining the ship, there's no reason to think that they can't make the playoffs. However, we're only at Week 4, and knowing the 49ers, luck with injuries, they might be 67% St. Louis Battlehawks by Week 10. At number 8, we have the Seahawks. After losing to the 49ers in Week 1 thanks to Nick Bosa, the Seahawks have rattled off 3 straight wins, while almost letting the Cardinals and the Call of Duty Hall of Famer Kyler Murray complete a miraculous comeback on Thursday. The Hawks were able to close out the Cardinals, and maybe one of those under the radar, those real sneaky good teams. They've scored 111 points, good enough for 6th in the NFL, and they've only given up 67 points, which is tied for 2nd. They're 5th in sacks. They're tied for 4th in takeaways, in which they have 7. Maybe Minnesota shouldn't have let Sam Darnold walk out the door as easily as they did. At 7, we've got the Bucs. Now, this one was hard for me to gauge because the Bucs lost to the Eagles at home, but while they were getting belt to ass early on by the Eagles in the first half, including a pump block return for a touchdown, they stormed all the way back in the second half, outscoring the Eagles 17-7, 19-7 if you include the garbage time safety, which I do not do. And they had a chance to tie the game late. Now, if the rest of the game had gone like the first half, I think I would have, and fairly so, easily dropped the Buccaneers several spots. But considering this team is just never out of any game, even one where it looks like they're getting boat raced, I've decided, for now, they stay like a bavua. At 6, we've got the Chiefs. Welcome back, Kansas City Chiefs. After going 0-2 and looking very pedestrian against the New York Giants on Sunday Night Football, the Chiefs woke up on Sunday and they chose some violence, dismantling the Baltimore Ravens so completely and totally that people on social media were actually questioning if Lamar Jackson suffered a hamstring injury or if he just wanted to get out of the game and not actually play. If the Chiefs team is back like this kind of Chiefs team, and with Rashee Rice speeding towards a Week 7 debut after his suspension, the Chiefs may once again be the Chiefs. Number 5, Daniel Jones and the Colts. It was bound to happen. Nothing lasts forever, and even though the Colts looked like they were going to take the lead late in the game, a questionable holding call negated a 53-yard touchdown run from Jonathan Taylor. That flag was thrown on wide receiver Adonai Mitchell, who earlier had a walk-in touchdown, but in trying to show off and celebrate, dropped the ball before crossing the goal line. And with the ball rolling out of the back of the end zone, gave the Rams a touchback. Now, it's not easy to overcome wiping 14 points off the board, and the Colts, losing by 7, makes those mistakes even more magnified. Indiana Jones didn't have his best game, but it wasn't a Giants disaster class. Jones went 24 of 33, 262 yards, and he had a touchdown. He did throw 2 interceptions, one on the very first drive of the game, and the second was late in the fourth quarter when trying to tie the game, and that came after the Jonathan Taylor touchdown was called back. Number 4, the Rams. It kind of felt like the Rams were going to be that team to challenge for the NFC crown this season, and so far, outside of a second-half collapse for the ages in Philadelphia, helped by the officials, I might add, the Rams have been as advertised. Puka Nacua is straight up savage, from blood trickling down his face to making big play after big play. Puka has been as reliable as a bill collector calling you at 9:30 at night looking to take your firstborn child as a down payment for your 23-year-old hospital bill, which you have no intention of paying. First in receptions, first in yards, first in targets. He only has 1 touchdown so far, but in every other metric, Puka is a nuke on that football field. Sprinkle in the Rams defensive unit collecting 12 sacks, which is tied for first in the league, being a top 10 in just about every other defensive statistical category, if I can speak. The Rams feel like the team that will be playing in late January for a trip out to Santa Clara. Number 3, the Detroit Lions. Everybody was so ready to throw the Lions away into the bin of irrelevancy after their Week 1 beatdown at the hands of the Packers. Without Ben Johnson or Aaron Glenn, clearly this team was doomed. It seems like everyone forgot just who the fuck Dan Campbell was, and the Lions seem to have some fun reminding everybody just who the fuck they are over these last 3 weeks. Sitting atop the NFC North after rattling off 3 straight victories, including a massive and impressive victory in Week 3 over Baltimore in Baltimore, and then beating a tough Browns defense on a short week. Notice how I said tough Browns defense, because that's all really the Browns had. So maybe one will look at this victory and say, no great shakes. But you know who would really love to have a super unimpressive victory over the Browns right about now? Number 2, the Birdie Boys of Filthy. Yeah, what can I say? I hate this team. I hate their city. I hate their fucking fans. I hate everything about them. But when you're 4-0 and they got that giant Tampa Bay monkey off their back by finally beating the Buccaneers in Tampa, again, they made the game more interesting than I think they needed it to be. And in the second half, it was almost a reverse of the Rams game in Week 3. But they were able to hold on for the win, coupled that with the uninspiring victories against Dallas in Week 1 and struggling with the Chiefs in Week 2. I'm still not sure how good this Eagles team is, but as Bill Parcells once famously said, you are who your record says you are. So for right now, the Eagles are 4-0, and they are ruling the NFC East just kind of like we all thought they would. And at number 1, the Buffalo Bills. Not much to say here, folks. The Bills still look like they are the class of the NFL. Took a little longer to put away a very game but very bad Saints team. But the Bills did eventually pull away in the end. Buffalo currently sits first in the NFL in rushing yards per game and total yards per game. They've scored 133 points, good enough for a third. Their defense has recorded 7 sacks in 4 games, and they currently have a +3 turnover margin. Outside of their opening night comeback win versus the Ravens, it's never really felt like the Bills winning was ever in doubt, including closer than expected games versus the Dolphins and the Saints. The Bills play the Patriots on Sunday night, and right now the Patriots might be the second best team in the division. Not that means very much right now, but with the Bills having a chance to go up 3-0 in the division and 5-0 overall, unless the Patriots pull off a fantastical upset, it's really hard to see the Bills not sitting in this exact same spot next week as well. And that's been the countdown, folks, here on Stay Tuned Sports. Go buy some merch or donate or share us around somewhere people can see us. Share us around there like old penny packs in the Kink Castle or herpes. Which that actually might be one and the same. I'm not sure. I've got to stop making so many porn references. I'm going to get kicked off here.